Day 3 is closing out on the nurses' strike at a Madison hospital. What one patient has to say about her level of care in the middle of it all.
Plus, international students at UW-Madison face more uncertainty with a new policy that could revoke some visas.
And defaults on burrito loans, how Klarna's Buy Now, Pay Later program is facing unpaid micro loans.
That's all coming up on News 3 Now at 10.
Good evening and thanks for joining us, everyone, on News 3 Now at 10. I'm Sarah Carlson.
And I'm Eric Franke. Day 3 of the nurses' strike has come and gone with no agreement reached at Unity Point Health Meriter Hospital.
The strike started Tuesday morning, and since then, one patient says care at the hospital has suffered. The patient, who we will refer to as Sophie, says she's been in the hospital for nearly a week after coming to the ER with pancreatic issues. Meriter brought in hundreds of travel nurses in preparation for the strike. However, Sophie said she and other patients feel like the hospital was unprepared.
I have been consistently late for my medications. IVs are not getting flushed in appropriate amounts of time. Mistakes have been made when it comes to administering certain medications. I have constantly had to advocate for my care, and luckily I know my chart very well, so I'm able to do that. But for some patients, that might not be the case.
Now, the hospital says it is not aware of any specific patient complaints and denies any claims that operations are not running smoothly.
And in a statement, Unity Point Health Meriter says, quote, "We are consistently hearing feedback from patients, family members, and our providers that these travel nurses are providing incredible care. We are so grateful for them for showing up and giving our patients their all." There have been 23 rounds of negotiations so far between the nurses union and the hospital.
Madison police say a man struck by a vehicle Monday night on the city's north side has died. The crash happened near Kennedy Road and Northport Drive about 5:30 on Monday. The 48-year-old man was rushed to the hospital and then in critical condition. The driver stayed at the scene and did cooperate with police. This afternoon, officers confirmed that the man passed away from his injuries. Names have not been released, and it is still unclear if any charges will be filed.
A Wausau driver has been arrested near the Dells for her 7th operating while intoxicated charge with 2 children in the vehicle. The arrest happened overnight along I-90-94. State Patrol officers say just after midnight they received complaints of an SUV that was going out of its lane and kept changing their speed. That was when the patrol pulled over a 28-year-old woman who allegedly showed signs of impairment. The 2 children in her vehicle were under the age of 16.
The trial of the man charged with killing 19-year-old Shade Robinson is in its 3rd day now. Maxwell Anderson is accused of killing Robinson after their first date back in April of 2024 and then scattering her remains around Milwaukee County. Today, jurors heard from several witnesses, including some of Robinson's friends.
Probably just the strongest, kindest, most charismatic person I've ever met.
Is this hard for you today?
Yes.
This trial is expected to last 2 weeks, and the jurors are not being sequestered.
After some steady rain earlier in the week, Chief First Warn Meteorologist Alex Harrington now tracking some possible storms tomorrow. He joins us from the weather patio. Alex, who should expect those storms?
Areas from Madison and points to the east had the best chance for those storms tomorrow. Although areas west of Madison could sneak a shower or a thunderstorm, but those best chances are going to eye up areas along I-39 and points to the east, which we'll see as part of the 3 things that you need to know here. And then also, we are keeping an eye on wildfire smoke that's rapidly going to sweep in from the north and west as we go into Friday into Saturday. That's why your phone and the First Warn weather app was probably showing that air quality alert for Friday, and I think it will probably be extended into Saturday for parts of the area. We're going to track that smoke plume and those thunderstorms momentarily on Future Track in just a few minutes. But breaking down the bottom line, late afternoon through early evening, Madison and areas off to the east stand the best chance of those thunderstorms. And while we can't rule out an isolated severe storm, widespread severe weather at this point is not expected. And then, as I mentioned, we're going to track those storms. We're also going to track that smoke plume because conditions on Friday going on into Saturday, it's going to be unhealthy for some folks in these past couple of years. If you have been susceptible to these smoky conditions, you may want to consider limiting your outdoor activities. Also coming up in Maine weather, the latest on temperatures approaching near 90 degrees, and when we may see a period of strong storms next week. all those answers in just a couple of moments.
Sounds great. Thank you, Alex. And next week, the Senate will take a look at President Trump's spending bill that he refers to as the Big Beautiful Bill Act. It comes after the House narrowly passed it with all Democrats in opposition. The bill would extend the president's 2017 tax breaks, but bring major cuts to Medicaid. Today, we spoke with Representative Mark Pocan about his thoughts on the legislation.
Yeah, this is without question the worst bill I've ever seen in 30 years of being in government.
The Wisconsin Department of Health Services says thousands of Wisconsinites would lose their Medicaid eligibility if the president ends up signing this bill into law.
Yesterday, Trump administration officials announced that a policy was being developed that could lead to visas for some students from Hong Kong and China being revoked. UW-Madison is responding to that policy, saying they are monitoring the situation and will continue updating their website as they receive new information. University leaders say, quote, "We understand this may be a difficult time for you and your family as there is a great deal of uncertainty about these policy actions. Please know that we are here to support you and we value you as an important member of UW-Madison's communities." While students at Madison prepare for what could be students at Harvard University are grappling with funding cuts and visa revocation, it's all amid today's commencement at Harvard.
And this graduating class started right in the prime of the COVID pandemic. Beth Germano reports on what this means for them.
It's a day of celebration amid the turmoil that has been the Harvard University campus for the past couple of months.
Just gathering here and understanding the weight of the situation and that we're not powerless.
It was a wonderful year that culminated with great resilience and determination and grit.
And resilient is what the prestigious university has tried to be against the Trump administration's billions in cuts to research funding, attempts to revoke its tax-exempt status, limit the enrollment of international students, among other issues, amid claims of anti-Semitism and elitism at the university.
It's just been a tough year, a long time.
It's been a tough 4 years. We came in during COVID and we came out during a new presidency, and it's just a new experience.
An experience not lost on commencement speaker Abraham Verghese, an infectious disease doctor and author who used humor as he applauded the university's stand against the Trump administration, saying it was fitting to hear from an immigrant like him.
In coming to your campus, I feel very much like a medieval messenger who had to sneak through the encircling forces and slip into your besieged community.
And a prolonged standing ovation for Harvard President Alan Garber, who made it clear students near and far will be welcome on the campus.
Around the world, just as it should be.
But students admit unease, like some entering science fields who worry about future funding for their potential jobs.
We're all worried about jobs, all worried about just job security. We're coming out hopeful about the future, but yes, it's very scary at the current time.
Even as Harvard has so far prevailed against attempts to bar international students, Timi Olanguju from Nigeria is convinced Trump the businessman will change his mind.
I think President Trump will see that the numbers of the impact of international students on the value of the U.S. economy will speak to his soul.
Now, the Trump administration has given Harvard 30 days to contest its plan to ban international students from enrolling on campus. The White House has frozen nearly $2.3 billion in grants and contracts for the university.
After weeks of gridlock, Wisconsin's budget writing committee met today, approving smaller agency budgets like those for the Secretary of State and State Treasurer. They also signed off on the department that oversees professional licenses. But the biggest question, what's happening with a proposed tax cut, is unresolved. Republican leaders say talks are ongoing, but there is no deal yet.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to talk about the conversations with the governor. So we're pleased that he's meeting with us and our conversations are ongoing, and that's about it.
The state budget is stalled largely due to debate over this proposed tax cut. Lawmakers are behind schedule and risk missing the June 30th deadline. Now, the state wouldn't shut down if that happens, but any funding increases, including for schools, would be delayed.
So to come at 10, jobless claims are up around the country. What economists have to say about finding a job in 2025.
And then a Rock County farm is reporting the spread of a deadly disease that affects deer, elk, and reindeer. What the discovery means for Wisconsin wildlife. Stay with us.
watching News 3 Now at 10.
Starbucks baristas at the University and North Blackhawk location in Madison have voted 12-1 to unionize. That makes them the 11th unionized Starbucks in Wisconsin and 6th right here in Madison. Now part of a nationwide movement of over 590 unionized stores pushing for better wages, fairer schedules, and improved working conditions. For those workers, it's about creating a better environment for both the team and their customers. Since February, more than 190 stores have joined Starbucks Workers United.
Well, jobless claims are up for the first time in 3 weeks. The Labor Department says last week about 240,000 people made initial claims for jobless benefits, and that's more than economists were expecting. It represents a hike of 14,000 applicants compared to the week before. This report also shows it's taking longer for unemployed people to find new jobs, with continuing claims rising to a level not seen since November of 2021.
You probably heard about those buy now, pay later loans. It turns out a bunch of customers are missing the pay later part. Popular digital finance platform Klarna reported an increase in customers who are behind on their short-term payments. Users who fail to pony up are subject to late fees and interest charges, and it could impact their credit scores.
I think that a lot of people like the idea of buy now, pay later, but essentially it is the same trap we often can get into with credit cards. We can spend more than we intend to, and we can actually see fees if we're not paying these off on time.
According to Bankrate, almost half of credit card holders carry debt from month to month, and rates and balances remain near record highs.
A deer at a Rock County deer farm has tested positive for chronic wasting disease. That's according to the Wisconsin Department of Agriculture, Trade and Consumer Protection, or DATCP. Only 8 of Wisconsin's 72 counties have not had reports of this disease. CWD is always fatal for deer, and it's transmitted through animal-to-animal contact or by contact with the saliva, urine, feces, blood, or carcass of an infected animal or infected soil.
The Department of Health and Human Services has canceled a contract with Moderna for the development of a bird flu vaccine. The $590 million contract was announced just days before President Trump was sworn in for a second term. The department says the project does not meet scientific or safety expectations for continued investment. Meanwhile, Moderna's CEO says the company will, quote, explore alternative paths forward for the program.
Well, Middleton is rolling into summer with Bike Week, starting next Sunday through the following Saturday, joining communities statewide. The week kicks off with a community bike ride and interactive exhibits downtown to celebrate cycling. Commuter stations with refreshments pop up midweek, and Saturday wraps things up with a family-friendly bike rodeo focused on safety and fun.
Well, today was the 8th annual Black Girl Magic Conference in Madison. The event brought together more than 650 young black girls for a day of empowerment, leadership, and inspiration. The conference started back in 2018 as a way for black girls across Dane County to come together. And our crew went to the event this morning and spoke with a young leader helping the cause.
This is like a safe space for young black girls, and I know it was for me too. I started when I was in 4th grade, and we kind of just bring everybody together.
If you're interested in getting involved but didn't have time to go to today's event, visit the organization's website at bgmesinc.com.
We also have Music Mondays returning to Madison's Meadowwood neighborhood this summer. Good Shepherd Lutheran Church on Raymond Road will host Music Monday every week starting Monday. The event is free with a pay-what-you-can food cart. The concerts run from 5 to 7 in the evening on Good Shepherd's front lawn. Now, this year's lineup includes the UW Marching Band, the All That Jazz Big Band, and the acoustic group Sundance. Well, some 80-degree weather is on the way for the weekend, but we're going to have to get through some showers and thunderstorms first, and we have our chief first warn meteorologist, Alex Harrington, with all the details.
Yeah, and I'm going to add too, Sarah, a strange combination of the showers and thunderstorms tomorrow after a little morning patchy fog. We're also tracking some wildfire smoke that's going to be moving into the area as we go on into, excuse me, I have had a frog in my throat now for a couple of days with the pollen that's out there. Speaking of that smoke, if you are susceptible to any of these outdoor ailments, you may want to consider limiting your outdoor activities as we go Friday on into Saturday. It's all part of the 3 things you need to know. Let's start off here, though, first with taking a look at the thunderstorm threats as we carry forth through the rest of tonight. Just a few and far between chance of an isolated shower, but most places are going to stay dry. A little patchy fog, though, not out of the question. But now as we go into Friday afternoon, couple areas, couple lines of scattered showers and thunderstorms really along I-39 and areas off towards the east and the best chance. Far southwest Wisconsin, the lesser of the chance for seeing a shower or a thunderstorm as we go between 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, all the way up to about 8 o'clock. Maybe one more lone shower, thunderstorm moving through the Madison area. And then that's out of here. One or two of these storms could get on the strong side, with gusty winds and hail being the main threats. Not expecting widespread severe weather, but we can't rule out an isolated strong storm. Rainfall amounts with the speed and then the intermittent aspect of the shower and thunderstorm activity, not expecting heavy rainfall with this bout of showers and thunderstorms. And just updated, and appreciate some of our viewer comments about us continuing to focus on the drought monitor. Abnormally dry conditions still from the Wisconsin River Valley south, and then really no change at all for our friends Platteville to Darlington, Monroe, over to Janesville, over to Elkhorn, still experiencing moderate drought conditions. So not a lot of improvement there. And this weather system is not going to give a lot of water, unfortunately, as we go Friday late afternoon and early evening. That's the best chance for those showers and thunderstorms, mainly Madison and areas to the east. Widespread severe weather at this point in time not expected, but we'll have a fresh update tomorrow morning. Savannah will have the very latest future track and the very latest from the Storm Prediction Center as well. And a warm day, as Sarah was saying, getting up to near 80 degrees. That strange combination, though, with gusty winds, that thunderstorm threat for areas I-39 and to the east. And then the smoke, all of this orange you see here by noon on Friday, that smoke will have milky white skies, and that smoke smell making it down to the ground, lasting into Friday afternoon, into Friday evening, possibly lasting even into Saturday for at least the southwest half of the area. So you'll definitely notice that. Again, for those of you that have had some susceptibility over the past couple of years to some of the smoke that we have experienced from Canada, tomorrow is going to be one of those days where you may want to consider limiting those outdoor activities. And we do have air quality alerts for all of the area to highlight the potential for this dangerous air quality conditions as we go forth into Friday, into Saturday. And then we look further out into next week. Strong storm chances are expected Tuesday night going into Wednesday with the cold front after some really warm weather. And speaking of strong storms, had an opportunity to go out to visit the kindergarten class in Barneville today. Now remember, Barneville has the history with the 1984 infamous F5 tornado. Talked about what does a TV weather person do, the frames and how they match the forecast, especially those red alert day glasses. Here comes the famous pepper tornado experiment. There you see a little tornado spinning up. That's always a win when we go out to the area schools. And I appreciate going out there and talking about weather with the great kids in Barneville. And I think they have something they want to say to Southern Wisconsin.
See you on TV!
Yes, see you on TV. I had a wonderful time. Thank you for having me out there today.
And I wonder if they're in bed.
That might be a late night for some of them. I told them
Right.
a recording will send you the link.
Exactly. Perfect. It's always online.
Yes.
Thank you, Alex.
And Zach is here with a look at sports. Still baseball being played.
Still baseball for one local, local team. Just call it a redemption tour, revenge tour, right? Coming up in sports. Motivated by last year's loss, by Whitewater Baseball's journey back to the World Series started after last year's runner-up finish. That's next on News 3 Now. As a Badger, it's hard to top being enshrined in the UW Athletic Hall of Fame. Today, the 2025 class was announced, and the list of accomplishments, accolades, and resumes these 12 have are one of one. Headlined by Frank Kaminsky, Joe Pavelski, James White, and Travis Frederick, this group had a lot of success during their time in Madison, and getting the call that they were heading to the Hall is one these Badgers will never forget.
It was special. Kind of caught me off guard a little bit, and when you first hear the words, you don't fully know what it means, and and the experience that you've had throughout your time at the UW is you kind of go back to thinking of all that.
I mean, it's just like you get overcome with this emotion that you can't really describe. You start thinking backwards, and it puts you in a place where you love. Like, I love here. I love Wisconsin. I love the school. I love being back on campus.
The redemption tour for Whitewater baseball has reached the place where they finished one win shy of winning their first national championship since 2014, the College World Series. And they made their journey back look pretty easy. But while they were racking up another 40-plus win season, a WIAC regular season and tournament title, and winning regionals, super regionals, well, their mind was only on one thing.
The minute we finished our season last year, I knew that that was the main driving force for next year. If we lose last week, this season might as well just be 0-40. Okay, so absolutely from the day we finished last year to now, that has been the driving force for these young men.
Well, the Wisconsin men's basketball team will be heading to Pfizer Forum to take on Oklahoma in an exhibition game on October 24th for a nice little tune-up before they begin the non-conference part of their schedule. Well, the last time these two met, the Badgers beat the Sooners by 20 in the Bahamas in 2018. It was a must-win Game 5 for the Knicks to keep their season alive, and Jalen Brunson got the message. Game-high 32 points from him as he becomes the first player in franchise history with 10 30-point games in a single postseason. New York takes down Indiana 111-94 in a game that wasn't even that close. Game 6 is Saturday night in Indy. And it will be a Stanley Cup Finals rematch between Edmonton and Florida after the Oilers skated past the Stars 6-3 in Game 5 of the Western Conference Finals. Former Badgers Ty Emberson and Trent Frederick will skate for Lord Stanley. And that's it for sports. Alex back with one last look at your forecast after this.
Tomorrow on News 3 Now this morning, Michelle Renee Quinn continues following the nurses' strike at Unity Point Health Mariner. And Josh Pryder back in the 608 with more information about an incredible book. You won't want to miss that. News 3 Now this morning.
And now we have a final check on our forecast. A lot going on.
A lot going on, especially tomorrow. We can see all that with our 10-day forecast here. Friday afternoon, thunderstorms, especially for areas Madison and east. We can't rule out a strong storm with gusty winds and some small hail, but also wildfire smoke is going to be building in on Friday, lasting into Saturday. You're going to see that tomorrow with that milky white sky. You're going to smell that, especially by the late morning hours, as some of that smoke from the upper atmosphere makes it down to the ground. Finally, that smoke, I think, will clear out as we get into Sunday. Beautiful day. Highs up around 80 degrees and then almost 90 by the time we get to Monday. Monday night, I've just bumped up those lows to near 70 degrees, so a muggy night. And that's going to be the fuel for thunderstorms as we go Tuesday into Wednesday with the cold front. Keeping an eye on that. One or two of those storms could be on the strong side, and then we'll quiet down after that.
Sounds good. Thanks for watching News 3 Now at 10. Coming up now is The Late Show with Stephen Colbert.
Our next newscast coming up tomorrow morning starting at 4:30. You can always find us streaming 24/7 at Channel 3000+.